down there. Press that.
And then you have to go back. No?
Yeah. Sorry.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gaura Premanande. Jai, Hare Krishna. Well, we are going to read from Srimad-bhagavatam. Which one is? Canto 9, chapter 21, verse 22 or 23? 22? Okay. Okay. I think I have it here. I'm going to read from here because. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Shaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Yayang Udhirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Namaste Hridaya Nanda Vishwananda Namaste Guru Namastaya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Namaste Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namune Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Sarine Vishesha Shunyavadi Asatya. Okay, let us continue with the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. eternal service to Srimad-bhagavatam. If you think about it, this has been going on since the time of Sukadeva Goswami, at least on this planet, because Srimad-bhagavatam is eternal. There is an eternal and ongoing of the recitation of Srimad-bhagavatam somewhere in the universe, always. And just like Krishna Lila, sometimes it stops in one place and continues in another. It's like Krishna is like the sun. When the sun disappears, it doesn't mean that it's gone. It's away from our eyesight. It's not, didn't cease to exist. No? It is there. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Krishna. So it's always going on, just like Krishna is eternal, Srimad Bhagavatam is also eternal. So there is always a recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam somewhere in the universe. Sometimes, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, sometimes Dharma appears and sometimes it disappears. But it's always there, somewhere else. So, since the time of Sukadeva Goswami, at least this has been going on somewhere in the universe or somewhere in this planet. And now we are continuing this service of Srimad Bhagavatam. So hearing and talking about Srimad Bhagavatam is a very, not only sacred, but also a very fortunate event for us, that we are able to participate in this eternal Krishna Lila, talking about Krishna's glory. So today verse is from 9th Canto and chapter 21. It's called the Dynasty of Bharata. So let's try to read the verse. Ayamidat brihadishu. Does it come from? Huh? Oh, it's not. I thought you needed Bhagavatam by heart. All the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ayamidas brihadishu tasya putro vihadanu brihadkayastata tasyat putra asitya nadrata ayamida brihadishu tasya putro brihadanu brihadkayastatastasya putra asitya yadratha ayamidas brihadishu tasya putro brihadanu brihadkayastatastasya putra asidya yadratha. Devotees? Satastasya putra asit Jayadrata Yamidhat from Ayamidha Brihadishu, a son named Brihadishu. Tasya, his, Putra, son, Brihadanu, Brihadkaya, Brihadkaya, Tata, therefore, Tasya, his, Putra, son, Asit, was, Jayadrata. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Kichai. From Ayamida came a son named Brihadishu. From Brihadishu came a son named Brihadanu. From Brihadanu, a son named Brihadkaya. And from Brihadkaya, a son named Jayadrata. This is has a similar name to the famous Jayadrata from Mahabharata. Jayadrata. Okay, let's go to verse. No. Tasya sutto vishadastasya senayik samayayata rushirasho bridhadanu kasyo baksa shatasuta. The son of Jayadrata was Vishada, and his son was Senayit. The son of Senayit was Rishishrava, Brihadanu, Kasya, and Baksa. Oh, sorry, I forgot to. Rishishrava Shuta Para, Pritusenas Tat Amaya. Parasya Tanayomi Pas Tasya Putra Sakanta Abhut. The son of Rishishrava was Para, and the sons of Para were Pritusena and Nipa. Nipa had 100 sons. 100. Would you mind? Nowadays we have 4 flights, and that's way too much. 100. Verse 25. Sakribyam sukakanyayam brahmadatta ajijanat yogisa gavibrayayam vishwakshena adashutam. King Dripa begot a son named Brahmadatta through the womb of his wife. King Dripa begot a son named Brihadatta through the womb of his wife, Kritvi, who was the daughter of Sukha. And Brahmadatta, who was a great yogi, begot a son named Vishwakshena through the womb of his wife, Saravati, perfect by his divine grace and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Sukha mentioned here is different from the Sukadeva Goswami who spoke Srimad-bhagavatam. You can see how through different ages people have similar names. It's just like nowadays, isn't it? These were real people. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is described in great detail in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. There it is said that Vyasadeva maintained the daughter of Javali as his wife, and that after they performed penances together for many years, he placed his seed in her womb. The child remained in the womb of his mother for almost 12 years. Can you imagine? A woman nowadays has the baby for 9 months, and that's a tapasia, no? I mean, 12 years. These were people of other category. And when the father asked the son finally when he pleased to come out, the son replied that he would not come out unless he were completely liberated from the influence of Maya. Vyasadeva then assured the child that he would not be influenced by Maya, but the child did not believe his father. He did not trust Vyasadeva. I mean, the whole Vaishnava philosophy is based on the words of Vyasa, no? And Sukadeva, no, I don't trust you. You're Vyasa, but I don't trust you. For the father was still attached to his wife and children. Vyasadeva then went to Dwaraka and informed the personality of Godhead about his problem. Everybody goes to Krishna over here. There's a problem. And the personality of Godhead, at Vyasadeva's request, went to Vyasadeva's cottage, where he assured the child in the womb that he would not be influenced by Maya. Thus assured, the child came out, but he immediately went away as a parivrayaka acharya. When his father, very much aggrieved, began to follow his saintly boy, Sukadeva Goswami, the boy created a duplicated Sukadeva, who later entered family life. Therefore, the Sukakanya, or daughter of Sukadev, mentioned in this verse, is the daughter of the duplicate or imitation Sukadeva. The original Sukadeva was a long-lived brahmachari. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishram So there are quite a few things here in this text to discuss. So if you want to see me, now you have the pleasure. I just follow instructions. Let's look at it. So, this chapter is still dealing with the dynasty of King Rantideva. No? King Rantideva. By the way, Rantideva, it means, I think, I'm not sure, but I think that it comes from Ram, pleasure, Deva, divine. One who derives pleasure in the divine. Rantideva. So this dynasty of great sages were not ordinary fellows. They were extremely exact souls. And they are so exalted that even a great personality like Sukadeva Goswami, he knew all the dynasty of his kings. Because it's very important. These are the real, actually, blue blood people. Have you heard that expression, we have blue blood? No? When somebody is from royal, the royal people say, we have blue blood. That's a very old expression. Blue blood, yeah. We have blue blood. So where that comes from, I wonder. Because the great royal dynasty, they come from Krishna, and they have, I don't know if they have people, I don't think so, but still, it's the same. We come from a very high lineage. The blue queen, yeah, we come from a royal lineage. And all these great sages, they have, in most cases, except King Ben, as far as I can remember, they have very exalted children also. Because as like father, like son, like the saying goes. And here we have the story of Sukadeva Goswami. No? The story of Sukadeva Goswami, the actual story about Sukadeva Goswami, how he was supposed to be the narrator of Srimad-bhagavatam, but he didn't want to come out of his mother's womb. So when he was in his mother's womb, he was hearing Srimad-bhagavatam, but it's uncomfortable here. We know that Srimad-bhagavatam describes that the life of the conditioned soul within the womb of the mother is very miserable. Sometimes mothers are, they should be happy because they have a baby in the womb, but the baby in the womb is not having a good time most of the time. Srimad Bhagavatam explains how, well, it's logic. You are encaged within a very small area, and you are forced to be there for 9 months in darkness. When you are in bed for 1 day because you have to do resting, sometimes the doctor says you have to repose, you have to rest, and you are in bed for 1 or 2 days, that's hard enough. Or when you sit down with your leg crossed for 30 minutes, your knees begin to give you a break. So imagine to be inside the womb for 9 months, or at least for the last 2 or 3 months when you are already grown up, it's not an easy task. So but Sukadeva Goswami was in there for 12 years. He was happy as a self-realized soul. For him, the womb of his mother was more secure than the world outside. Because the world outside is dominated by Maya. But here I'm completely aloof from everything, no contamination from anything external. I don't have the influence of bad people, Asak Sangha, bad association, to the point that after 12 years, Vyasadeva was, come on, give a break to your mom, come out, it's time to come out. But he didn't want to come out. No, I will stay here, no problem. Free from dualities, inside, outside, same thing, no problem. But come on, my boy, give a break to your mom. I know, but you have to make sure, you have to promise that I will not be affected by Maya, the illusory enemy. And Vyasa, who is, Bhagavan Badarayana, the incarnation, the literary incarnation of God, the compiler of Srimad-bhagavatam, that's why we call him Vyasa. As means to throw, to scatter, to throw. And B means to divide. So he Vyasa, one who divide and scatter the scripture. That's what he did. He got all the Vedas, and he said, this portion belongs to this part, that portion is for this. He's a divider. That's why he's called Vyasa, one who throws apart. So Vyasa, the father of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the composer, the Vyasa, the compiler. He said, no, I give you 100% assurance. You will not fall in Maya. You will not be affected by Maya. It's Vyasa. We trust his words. That's why he compiled Srimad-bhagavatam. When Krishna left his planet, Krishna Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Yanat Vivisaha Kalao Nasta Drishane Saturana Koa Adinodita. When Krishna left this world, he left accompanied by religion, by Dharma. Religion and Dharma follow Krishna, wherever Krishna is, religion and Dharma are there. And the whole world was about to fall into darkness. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam compiles that's why Vyasa compiles Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana Arka. This Purana is compared with the Arka, with the sun. Adunodita, he arrived in the middle of that night that Krishna left behind. So this is Vyasa. And he's telling you, do it, no problem. But Sukadeva Goswami was so determined that he said, no, you have to promise. And Vyasa, why Sukadeva Goswami, he didn't trust his father? Because from his point of view, say, how can you promise that I will not be affected by Maya if you are affected by Maya? You are attached to your wife, you are attached to your son. How can you promise? You know? And we can see it in the life of Sukadeva Goswami when he was born as a big boy. When he was born, he grew up immediately. The Srimad-bhagavatam tells us he was walking through the forest and he met some girls who were taking a bath in a lake. And they were, more or less uncovered. And because he was so pure, the girls didn't cover their body. Sometimes you see that, by the way, on the street. Sometimes when a mother goes in a public place, goes into a bathroom, she brings her little boy with her. Have you seen it? Little boy getting into the women's bathroom. And women there, they do not care. They are 2 or 3 years old. That little boy, like that, he doesn't make any difference. He just sees bodies. He doesn't have anything in his mind. That's why women, they don't care if you bring a 2 or 3-year-old boy inside the bathroom. Now, if you bring a 15 or 16-year-old boy, that's quite a bit different. But Sukadeva Goswami, he was so pure that he didn't make any difference, and the women, the girls, they didn't cover their body. But when Vyasa was running after him, calling him, my son, oh, my son. And immediately when the girls saw him, they covered their body because they could see that the great sage was making a difference. Oh, made body, female body. He noticed, oh, some girls without any clothing. And they covered their body because to be a family man, you have to make difference. Otherwise, how can you be a family man? So, knowing this, in his mind, Sukadeva Goswami said, no, you are attached to family life. You are attached to your son. I don't trust you. You see how that's an example for us. We should not trust illusory energy. And Vyasa went to Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I have this problem. Please help me out. And Krishna, who is Bhakta Vatsal, the protector of his devotees, he came and he promised Sukadeva Goswami, okay, I promise you. Come out, please come out. So this is an example to follow. There is a story that once a king had a son who has a problem eating sweet. This kid was eating sweet all the time. And the king was worried about his son eating so many sweets. It's not good for her. And he went to a sage. He went to a sage with the kid. Please, and he asked the sage, he requested the sage, please, can you talk to my son? Can you tell him not to eat any more sweets? So the sage looked at the son, at the boy, and he said, okay, come tomorrow. Okay? The king took the son back to the palace, and he came next day. So can you please tell my son not to eat so many sweets? So the sage was looking at the kid, and he said, okay, come tomorrow. The king okay, what's a little bit? Yeah. The next day, the king came, and he was requesting the same request for the sage. Can you tell my son not to eat more sweets? And the sage again said, okay, come tomorrow. So the king this time was a little bit disturbed, and after 3 days, coming back and forth, so finally the king came. And the sage said to the boy, do not eat any more sweets. Do not do it. Do you hear me? Do not eat any more sweets. So the king went back to the palace. That was it. The king went back to the palace a little bit frustrated because that's what he had been saying to the kid for days and days and days, his mother also, and it didn't work. So, but the kid stopped eating sweets. No more sweets. So the king came back to the sage and he asked, how did you do it? His mother has been telling him that. I've been telling him that. They still, So the sage told him, well, when you came with your son the first day, actually, I was attached to eating sweet. I was eating a lot of sweet. I like it. So I realized that I was not capable to convince your son not to eat sweet if I myself I was attached to eating sweet. So the next day I use it when I tell you to go back. I use that next day to convince myself why I should not eat sweet. So when you came back the other day, I was using that day to overcome the desire for eating sweets. So once I overcame the desire for eating sweet, my attachment for eating sweet, I felt that I was capable to instruct your son, stop eating sweet, and it was effective. So the teaching is that the example teaches more than just words. And actually, Prabhupada said that in his formula. He said purity is the fourth. He has a formula, 4 point. Preaching is the essence, the book are the basis, purity is the fourth, and utility is the principle. No? So purity is the fourth. So if we are not really convinced of what we are doing, and we are not actually pursuing the path seriously, it's very hard to convince others. Really, really hard. People will hear what we have to say, but they do not necessarily be affected by the message. It is said that when a person who is not living his teachings, when he speaks, when he or she speaks, he's able to ring, to go to the ear of the person who is hearing him, to the audience, to touch the ear, to affect the ear. But a person who is actually living his teaching, Acharya, he is actually go all the way into the heart, to touch the heart, by the force of his will. That's why he's called Acharya, because he teaches what he preaches. That's why we call Advaita Acharya. That's why Srimad-bhagavatam says he's called Acharya because he preached, he lived by his wisdom. And actually, Parivraya Acharya, Parivraya means around. You know? Like when we go to Vrindavana, we do parikrama, walking around. Braja means to go, like the land of Braya, and that's very beautiful, by the way. The word Braj means to go. It also means a place, Braj. It also means a place where people go back and forth, Braj. And it's used for pasturing ground, because cattle go back and forth. So Braj is the land where cows are going back and forth, people are going back and forth, the land of the covered. So Braya, Parivraya Acharya, an Acharya that is going around completely. That's why we say Parivraya Acharya Stotara Satya, an Acharya that is going back and forth. And this Sukadev Goswami, he was a Parivraya Acharya. Immediately he left home, what is actually the most difficult thing to do. And Srila Prabhupada gives us an example of that. Great Acharyas are an example of their life. Even though they are liberated souls, they leave an example for us at every moment of their life. Like Arjuna was bewildered at the time of the battle of Kurukshetra. We can ask, we can think about what? He's an eternal associate of Krishna. How can he be bewildered? Well, his bewilderment was for us. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was attempting to follow the instructions of his guru, his guru came to his dream several times, and he said, Rabbi, you have to become a sannyas, you have to abandon your family. Srila Prabhupada, he commented that, he said, no, I was horrified. I was horrified. It's very difficult. I cannot leave my family. How can I do that? But his guru used to come and say, no, you have to do it. It is coming and coming again and again in his dream. So this is an example for us that yes, living your comfort life is difficult, because somehow or other family life is a sort of comfort. You have a home, you have a place to sleep, etc. But when you abandon family life, you're leaving behind everything. So Sukadeva Goswami, from his very birth, he left behind everything and he became a Parivrajaka Acharya. But because when he was walking by, we read from Srimad-bhagavatam, he was walking by naked. And many people were hurling insults at him, telling him because he looked like a, can you mind how he actually looked? He was like a man out of this world, 16-year-old boy walking naked to the village, couldn't care less about what is happening around. And some people, I have that experience, by the way, not in the same way, of course, but external. The first time that I went to Vrindavan, I remember I was walking to the middle of Vrindavan, I mean, the town, and at that time, even before that, many people in Vrindavan didn't have many respect for some people, for Westerners dressed in saffron. They used to call them sadhu ladu. Sadhu ladu, sadhu ladu, sadhu ladu. I can go, you are not a real sadhu, you are a sadhu ladu. Later on, of course, they developed, but still until that lasted not for a while. And I remember I was walking through the middle of the Vrindavan town, going on my way to the Swami's temple. And quite a few kids were running around me, calling me names. I was very young, but I wasn't very young. Hey, Sadhu! And even some of them were throwing some papers at me, and there were hawks around, and they were telling me, oh, come, touch it, it's very pure animal, touch it, come on, just make it, in India, you touch a pig, a hog, you are completely an outcast, Nobody will touch a hog. And they were telling me, come on, touch it, it's a very pure animal, laughing at me. And they were like 5, 6, 7 kilos. Hey, they have like a party behind me walking with blocks after blocks. And by the way, when I was walking, I was happy because I was thinking how it was for Sukadeva Goswami. When he was walking, people were telling him things, and like Bharata Maharaj, and I was laughing, thinking that. So a person came through a window and began to chastise the kid. And then he came down all the way to the street, an elder. He said, oh, but excuse me, more respect. Okay. And he called the kids, you go away, he said. But I was having that experience. So, by the way, I say, why did you stop it? I wanted to continue. So, this was Sukadeva Goswami, of course. He was walking naked. I was not walking naked. He was and he duplicated his body. This is what yogis can do. He duplicated his body. He created a similar form to his that entered family life, so that people do not disturb me anymore. So he duplicated his body, and that second form, that duplicated form, went to have a wife, family life, etc. And he just continued his path. So that's another teaching. Of course, we cannot duplicate our body. I don't have that power. But that means that for us, it means to follow the instructions that we find in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think that it was given to Raghunath Das and also by Lord Chaitanya in a letter to Rupa Goswami. In a letter to Rupa Goswami was writing a letter to Lord Chaitanya before he met him in this world for the first time, writing letters. Just like Rukmini did to Krishna, write letters, sending letters. So he was sending him letters. And and Lord Chaitanya used to write back and say, no, you stay there and behave like an ordinary fellow. Just do everything normally so that people do not bother you very much. Because maybe you have the experience when you become a devotee, the first one to bother you is your own family. When sometimes when people join the Hare Krishna movement, the family become the enemy. And Jesus said that, by the way, in the Bible. I did not come here to bring peace. I came to bring the sword. The enemies of the man will be his own family. He said. So sometimes the body have to go through great difficulties because their own family become the enemies. So Sukadeva Goswami duplicated this body. We have to follow that instruction. Wherever we are dealing with the public, we uh, just follow ordinary life, just to avoid conflict with the people. But in our private life, we follow as strictly as we can the process of sadhana, with the hope of one day, whether in this life or not, to become a paribraya acharya, to be completely detached from not only family life, because you can be in family life and have a complete detachment, not the responsibility, but detachment, but actually detached from the whole material existence. Okay? That's a long way to go, to be detached from material existence and, uh, and to attain perfection in Krishna consciousness, by the way. So, do you have any comment? He entered family life and have a daughter and everything. So that's why sometimes there is confusion because we find similar names, people carving the similar name with the similar names. Like for example, Kapila. There was a Kapila who was not a king, he was an atheist. He also produced a philosophy. Prabhupada clarifies this is another Kapila. There are also, for example, in the Vishnu Swami tradition, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explained the original Vishnu Swami he lived even before Christ. The original Vishnu Swami, but his Sampradaya was almost extinct and he was a worshipper of Lord Narasimha. Then there was another Vishnu Swami later on, some centuries later. And finally, there was another Vishnu Swami in the Middle Ages. His Sampradaya also dwindled a little bit, and he was taken over by Vallabhacharya. That is now called the Pushti Marga Sampradaya. They worship Krishna as a Balagopal, little baby. And by the way, Vallabhacharya, he was with the Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya. And Chaitanya Charitamrita called Vallabhacharya the dog among the swans. Because, of course, he was a great Vaishnava, by the way. It is said that he has a son, Vitaleshwar, I think, that when the deity of Gopala that was in Govardhan Hill, it's told by Madhavendra Puri, remember the son, Lord Chaitanya wanted to see the deity, but he didn't want to go on top of Govardhan Hill because he was playing the role of a devotee. So the deity, Gopala, he created the rumor that the Muslims were coming. So that the devotees went over there to take it out to hide it. And it was taken to Mathura, to the house of the son of Vallabhacharya, Vitaleshwar. And Rupa Goswami, I'm trying to remember what Rupa Goswami says in one of his writings, that he saw that when the son of Vallabhacharya, Vitaleshwara, was offering bhoga to the deity was so much affected by his love that the hairs in the body of the deity stand on him. He could see the transcendental body of the deity. Because you see a deity has no hairs, it's stunned. So Rupa Goswami could see the hairs of the body of the deity standing on him due to the love of Vitaleshwara when he was offering bhoga. So these people were not ordinary, by the way, but among the six Goswamis who are eternal associates of Krishna, still they are a little bit not at that level. And when Vallabhacharya was talking to Lord Chaitanya detected that there is a little bit of pride in him, some pride. He was trying to show his commentaries, and Lord Chaitanya chastising a little bit that if you are acting like a prostitute, if you are trying to to make a better comment than the one done by Sridhar Swami, the original commentator of Srimad-bhagavatam, you should not try to be better than him. He chastising him. So that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita called him the dog among the swans. He was like a dog, yes, in a lake or among the swans. Any comment or question? Okay. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad-bhagavatam ki, Jai. And you tell me the